Welcome to Naveen TechHub.
Imagine building a complex, heavy machine, but having to manually carry every single gear across a slippery floor. In early software development, people manually moved code from their computers to a live server. Human error was guaranteed, leading to mistakes and frustrated users. To fix this, developers stopped carrying the gears themselves. They built an automated assembly line. Today, every time someone writes new code, it is placed onto a conveyor belt that handles the entire process without human hands. This brings us to Jenkins. Jenkins doesn't actually write the code. Instead, it acts as the master controller of that assembly line. It is the factory manager, giving orders to every machine on the floor and making sure the entire process runs smoothly from start to finish. The first half of this assembly line is called continuous integration, or CI. The second a developer finishes a piece of code, Jenkins grabs it, builds it into a working format, and immediately runs it through a series of tests to catch bugs early. Once the code passes those tests, we move to the second half, continuous delivery, or CD. Jenkins commands the system to safely package that approved code and deliver it straight to the destination, where the customers actually use it. By putting Jenkins in charge, the team shifts from manual handoffs to automated rules. The code moves through the same verified steps every single time, so updates reach the customer without someone needing to manually click through the entire process at every turn. So how does this factory wake up? It relies on a trigger mechanism called a webhook. The assembly line sits idle until the exact moment a developer submits new code into a storage system. That submission acts like flipping a switch. When the switch flips, the Jenkins controller wakes up. To avoid freezing, it delegates the heavy lifting to worker computers, called agents. The controller gives orders using a Jenkinsfile, a coded instruction manual outlining the exact steps agents must take. This standard Jenkinsfile uses a structured hierarchy. It starts with pipeline to define the process and specifies which agent will do the work. It breaks the job into stages, like test or deploy, and then lists the exact steps needed inside each stage. Because the assembly line process is saved as a text file, any developer can look at it and understand exactly how the software is built. Storing these rules as code means there are no hidden settings. The instructions are standardized and clear. First, code hits the build and test stage. If it passes, it enters a security check. Jenkins then commands Docker to lock the files into a secure digital box. It waits in a digital warehouse until Helm deploys it to active servers. A developer types code on their laptop, and minutes later it arrives in production, without anyone needing to manually log into a server. This predictable, hands-off path allows companies to ship updates frequently and safely. Take a look at the whole system working together. From the initial submission through testing, security, and delivery, the Jenkins factory processes software in a synchronized rhythm. This table compares Jenkins directly with a popular alternative, GitHub Actions. Notice the left side. Jenkins requires you to manage your own servers, but it offers over 1,800 different plugins. It is used by organizations with highly complex, custom needs. Now look at the right side of the table. GitHub Actions is managed in the cloud. It is a good fit for teams who want a simple setup and do not want to spend their time maintaining the underlying servers. Let's review what we've covered with some common questions. What is the difference between continuous integration and continuous delivery? Integration is the automated building and testing of code. Delivery is the automated packaging and secure shipping of that code. Next, why do we use a controller and agent architecture? A single computer cannot process thousands of tasks at once. The controller manages the schedule, while the agents distribute the workload across multiple machines to keep the system running fast. Finally, what is a Jenkinsfile? It is a text document outlining the pipeline's exact steps. Storing instructions as code ensures that the process is visible to everyone and can be repeated exactly the same way every time. Understanding these automated pathways changes how software moves from a single laptop to the wider world. By letting a controller handle the repetitive checks, teams can spend more time building and less time troubleshooting the assembly line itself.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into mastering Jenkins. We're going to take you right from those fundamental, beginner concepts all the way up to architecting enterprise-grade, production-ready deployments. Whether you're literally just setting up your very first pipeline or you're prepping to manage systems for hundreds of developers, this session is designed to give you that practical, concept-first engineering knowledge. So, let's jump right in. Now, before we even look at a single line of code, we have to ask, why do we actually need CI/CD automation in the first place? Well, according to the DORA metrics, which basically measure DevOps performance across the industry, elite teams deploy code 200 times more frequently than low performers. Just think about that for a second. 200 times faster. And having robust CI/CD automation, a pipeline that runs flawlessly without any human intervention, is exactly how they do it. It's not magic. It's just really great engineering.
So to really understand Jenkins, we first need to break down the difference between the CI and the CD. Continuous integration is your first line of defense. This is where developers frequently merge their code, and the system automatically builds and tests it. Continuous delivery takes over right after that. This is where we automate the packaging of that built code, safely store it in an artifact registry, and make absolutely sure it is 100% ready for deployment at a moment's notice. Okay, let's build a mental model of our entire end-to-end workflow. I really want you to keep this specific sequence in your head as we go. A developer pushes code to Git. A webhook triggers Jenkins. Jenkins builds the code, tests it, scans it for security vulnerabilities, packages it into an artifact, containerizes it with Docker, pushes it to a registry, and finally deploys it straight to a Kubernetes production cluster. This is the exact real-world flow we're going to build. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with an intro to Jenkins CI/CD, move into controller and agent architecture, see pipeline as code in action, cover containerization with Kubernetes, compare Jenkins with GitHub Actions, and wrap up with a solid DevOps interview revision. All right, Section 1, Intro to Jenkins CI/CD. Moving right along to Section 2, Controller and Agent Architecture. When it comes to scaling Jenkins in an enterprise, you really have to understand the controller and agent separation. Think of the Jenkins controller as the brain of the operation. It manages the web UI, it schedules the jobs, and it stores all your configurations. But, and this is key, it shouldn't do the heavy lifting. The agents are the muscle. They are the actual worker nodes that execute your pipeline tasks, like compiling Java code or building those Docker images. Now pay very close attention here because this is a massive production tip and a super common interview question. To ensure absolute stability, you must always set your controller executors to 0. Let me repeat that. Never run builds on the controller node. Instead, you want to utilize Kubernetes to spin up dynamic ephemeral agents. What does that mean? It means Jenkins creates a pod just for a specific build, runs the job, and then automatically scales that pod down to 0 when it's finished. You literally only pay for what you use, and you get a perfectly clean, isolated environment every single time. Section 3, Pipeline as Code in Action. You know, gone are the days of manually clicking around the Jenkins UI to set up a job. Today, it's all about pipeline as code. This basically means treating your deployment process exactly like your application code. You write your pipeline in a file, called a Jenkinsfile, using a Groovy-based syntax, and you commit it right alongside your application code in Git. By doing this, your workflow becomes versioned, totally auditable, and easily reproducible across environments. Just look at how clean a basic declarative pipeline is. You simply declare the pipeline block, say agent any so it runs on any available node, and then you define your sequential stages. In the build stage, we just execute a simple shell command for Maven to package our app. In the test stage, we tell Maven to run the tests. It's highly readable, right? And it forces a very strict reproducible workflow. But wait, as we automate all these steps, a huge question comes up. If the system is automatically deploying our code, how do we actually prevent vulnerable code, hard-coded secrets, or critical bugs from slipping through and completely destroying our production environment? The answer is a quality gate. Usually we use a tool like SonarQube for this. Think of it as an automated bouncer for your pipeline. Right after your tests run, SonarQube analyzes the code patterns. It actively looks for severe bugs, security vulnerabilities, and tech debt. If the code fails your organization's security standards, let's say the test coverage is just too low, the quality gate will stop the pipeline dead in its tracks. It automatically aborts the deployment to keep production safe. Okay, Section 4, Containerization and Kubernetes Deployment.
let's track the actual journey of our artifact to production. Once Jenkins verifies the code is good to go, it takes the compiled artifact, like a Java jar file, and stores it safely in a Nexus repository for version control. Next, Jenkins packages that artifact into a Docker image, pushes it to a secure registry, and finally, it triggers a Helm upgrade set to seamlessly deploy that exact container image into our Kubernetes cluster. And hey, if you're sitting there wondering, is this just for Java? Absolutely not. For Python developers, the practical implementation is just as smooth. In your Jenkins file, you simply create a virtual environment, install your requirements, run PyTest, and then execute your Docker build command. The underlying logic of the pipeline remains exactly the same, no matter what programming language your team happens to be using.
Section 5, Jenkins versus GitHub Actions.
As a DevOps engineer, you always have to choose the right tool for the job. So let's compare. Jenkins is primarily self-hosted, which gives you ultimate control over your infrastructure, air-gapped environments, and highly custom setups, especially with its massive ecosystem of over 1,800 plugins. The trade-off? It requires maintenance. On the other hand, GitHub Actions provides a managed, super fast, YAML-based alternative. If your team is natively integrated into GitHub and wants minimal DevOps overhead, Actions is fantastic. But for highly complex, multi-repository, enterprise-grade control, where you need to integrate with a lot of legacy systems, Jenkins is absolutely still the battle-tested veteran.
Finally, Section 6, DevOps Interview Revision. Okay, picture this. An interviewer asks you, how do you scale Jenkins safely across hundreds of teams without everyone just copying and pasting the same Jenkins file? Your immediate answer? Jenkins Shared Libraries. This brilliant feature allows you to centralize your pipeline logic. You basically create a single, reusable library for tasks like security scanning or Docker builds, and teams just call that library from their own pipelines. This enforces mandatory security compliance and governance globally across the entire organization. You also need to be ready to talk about what not to do because an experienced engineer knows the pitfalls. Definitely emphasize the severe danger of executing builds on the controller node. Mention what a security disaster it is to leave credentials hard-coded in scripts instead of using a proper secure credential store. And definitely highlight the massive operational risk of failing to back up your Jenkins home directory, which holds all your critical configurations. Let me tell you, forgetting that backup is a fantastic way to suddenly find yourself updating your resume over the weekend. All right, let's do one final end-to-end workflow recap. You'll want to memorize this unified sequence. 1. A developer commits code to Git, triggering a webhook. 2. Jenkins picks it up and runs the stages defined in the Jenkins file. 3. SonarQube scans a code and validates the quality gate. 4. The compiled artifact is versioned and stored securely in Nexus. 5. A Docker image is built and pushed to a registry. And finally, step 6, Helm updates the deployment on your production Kubernetes cluster. This right here is the absolute gold standard of automated software delivery. So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with one final critical question. Take a look at your current setup. Does your CI/CD stock truly give your team that elite, highly secure 200x deployment advantage we talked about at the very beginning? If it doesn't, well, you now have the exact blueprint to build it. Thanks so much for joining me today, and happy deploying.